I raised my daughters alone as a single father while my wife left for greener pastures. Now she is back and her husband wants to adopt. My daughters said, he fits better with their lives, I just let them go. Now they want me back, but I have already moved on. Dear listeners, before we get started, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. My name's Bennett, and I'm 54 now, but honestly, this whole mess really kicked off a few years back. For close to 30 years, I worked at the same manufacturing plant. Started at the bottom, just a regular guy punching in and out. Over time, I moved up to a mid-level spot. Nothing fancy, but it paid the bills. My wife, Abigail, well, she left when our girls were still pretty young. Isabella was 10, Charlotte just 7. Abigail, she wasn't cut out for that quiet, family life. I guess she needed something else. After she left, her visits were all over the place. Sometimes she'd show up full of smiles and big promises, other times we wouldn't hear from her for months. I remember one visit when Isabella was about 14. Abigail promised she'd be there for the school play, said she wouldn't miss it. We all waited, and she didn't show. Charlotte was crying. I told the girls, she's got her own battles, but she loves you in her own way. Still, it stung. Mostly, it was just me raising them. I wasn't perfect, far from it, but I was always there. I wanted the girls to have a better life than I did, a life with more choices. My own upbringing was pretty working class. Food on the table, a roof over our heads, but not much extra. No fancy trips or expensive toys. I was determined that my girls wouldn't have to settle for that. So I worked. A lot. My main job at the plant, side jobs fixing things for neighbors, a bit of consulting here and there based on my plant experience. Some weeks I was pulling 60, sometimes 70 hours. Year after year. It wasn't easy, but it paid off. Because of that, I could send the girls to a good private school. I hired SAT tutors to get them ready for college. Then I covered college itself. Isabella even did a study abroad program in Spain for a semester, something I never dreamed of. Charlotte needed help with her first car. I covered it without a second thought. We didn't live like rich people, not by a long shot. My house is small, the same old truck I'd driven for 15 years. My work jeans more patches than original denim sometimes, but the girls? They never went without. They had what they needed to focus on school, to have a kind of normal childhood. A good start. Things started to change when they got into their early 20s. Abigail came back into the picture more often. She'd remarried. Her new husband was a guy named Wesley. He looked successful. Or at least he played the part, had his own business, wore expensive suits, drove a fancy car. Abigail was different with him. More polished, I guess. Wesley made it a point to get involved with Isabella and Charlotte. He got Isabella an internship at a company he knew, had some contacts there. And for Charlotte, he connected her with a local agency. At first, I thought, okay, maybe this is good for them. More people looking out for them couldn't hurt, right? But then I started to notice a shift. The girls became distant. Calls got shorter. They were busy a lot, usually with things involving Wesley and Abigail. They started talking about Wesley's nice house, the people he knew, my little place, my quiet life. It probably seemed pretty dull in comparison. I remember this one weekend. I'd planned a camping trip. Something we used to do when they were younger. It was supposed to be just us, like old times. Both of them canceled last minute. Isabella said Wesley was taking them to some event. Charlotte told me she had a networking event Wesley had arranged. I wasn't blind to how that stung. I told myself, though, they're adults now, making their own choices. But it was hard not to feel left out. Then the questions started. Small at first. Little comments about genetics, about who they took after. Apparently, Abigail had been filling their heads with stories. One evening, Isabella called. She sounded hesitant, unsure. She asked if there was anything I hadn't told them about their mother. About the time before the divorce. I asked, "What do you mean, Bella?" She said, "Mom told me she had an affair a long time ago. Before you and her split up, and that she now believes someone else might be our biological father." I was shocked. Abigail and I had our problems. Hell, a lot of them, but I never once doubted the girls were mine. According to Isabella, Wesley had been part of these talks. He'd apparently mentioned that for tax reasons and estate planning, he could legally adopt them as adults. He said it would solidify their role in the family. That his and Abigail's new family. Isabella and Charlotte started using phrases I'd never heard from them before. Things like, modern family structure. And needing emotional closure regarding their true heritage. Abigail, during our marriage, had a temper, a bad one. When things didn't go her way, she could get explosive, screaming, throwing things. I remember once, when Isabella was about 5, Abigail promised to take her to a special puppet show. The kind of thing a little girl would remember forever. But the day before, Abigail got a call from a friend, inviting her on a weekend trip to the city. The puppet show? Completely forgotten. When I tried to bring it up, how disappointed Isabella would be. Abigail just flew into a rage. She accused me of holding her back, like I was the one standing in her way. I could still see it clearly. Isabella, just a little girl, terrified, caught in the middle. That was Abigail. All drama, and broken promises. Her reappearance now, with Wesley, felt like history repeating itself, but with a new angle. Before, she just disappeared. Now she was trying to take the girls with her, pull them away. There was one time when the girls were teenagers. Abigail was supposed to take them school shopping. She showed up 3 hours late, smelling of wine, and with only half the money she promised. Charlotte quietly asked, "Will we still be able to get the sneakers I want?" Abigail snapped. She yelled at them for being ungrateful, said she was sacrificing so much just to see them. Then she threw the money she had on the kitchen table, and stormed out, leaving the girls in tears. I took them shopping the next day. That was the pattern. Big gestures, then drama, then disappointment. Wesley seemed to smooth over her rough edges, at least in public, but the entitlement was still there underneath, and she was clearly using him and his money to lure the girls. The big confrontation happened a few weeks after Isabella's phone call. They asked to come over, both of them. They sat on my old couch. Isabella did most of the talking at first. Charlotte just stared down at her hands. Isabella repeated what Abigail had told them, that Abigail had an affair around the time Isabella was conceived, and then another one before Charlotte. She said Abigail was almost certain I wasn't their biological father. "She's very distressed about it," Isabella said, "and wants to make things right." Then Charlotte spoke up. "Wesley explained it all," she said quietly. "If he adopted us, it would simplify inheritance. He told us it's just a practical step for our future financial security." Charlotte looked up and said, "It's just for legal stuff, Dad, for taxes and things." Isabella nodded. "It's not personal, Dad." Then she said something that really twisted the knife. "Wesley fits better with our lives now. Mom's happier, and things are looking up for us with his help." I didn't say much at first. I just listened. My head was spinning. After all the years, all the sacrifices, this is what it came down to. Their mother, the woman who barely raised them, and her new rich husband telling them I wasn't their father, and them just accepting it, like it was some practical, no big deal thing. I got up and went over to my old filing cabinet. It creaked when I opened it, just like it always did. I pulled out a folder I hadn't touched in years. During the divorce, Abigail had tried to claim I wasn't Isabella's father, probably to get out of something, or just to cause trouble. We had paternity tests done for both girls. It was a legal requirement for the custody papers. I spread the official documents out on the table in front of them. This was from the divorce. I said, my voice steady but heavy. "Paternity tests. Legally verified. You are both my daughters." Isabella picked up the top sheet, glanced at it, then put it down. Charlotte didn't even look. "Mom said those old tests might not be accurate," Isabella said flatly. "Things are more advanced now," she said, like it was obvious. Charlotte added softly. "Wesley said he'd pay for new tests if we wanted, but he also said, what's the point? It's about who steps up, right? He's stepping up for us now." The indifference in their eyes, that was the worst part. It wasn't about truth for them anymore. It was about what they wanted to be true, what was convenient. What Abigail and Wesley were selling. They didn't even argue about the papers, just dismissed them like they were nothing. It was clear their minds were made up, or maybe Abigail and Wesley had made them up for them. Isabella actually said, "Look, Dad, we appreciate everything you did when we were growing up. But we're adults now. We need to think about our future. Mom and Wesley are offering us a different kind of future." I sat there for a long moment after they said their piece. They looked uncomfortable, shifting on the couch, like they were waiting for me to argue. To plead, but I didn't. I just felt empty. Like something inside me had quietly switched off. I collected the paternity documents from the table, folded them, and put them back in their envelope. I didn't yell, didn't get dramatic. What was the point? They'd already made their choice. I looked at them, my daughters, the girls I'd changed diapers for, taught to ride bikes, stayed up with when they were sick, the girls I'd worked my fingers to the bone for. And then I acted. The next day, I started making calls. First, I ended all financial support. The small allowance I still sent Charlotte for supplies. The top-up I gave Isabella for her rent in the city stopped. Next, I called my insurance company. I removed them from my health insurance plan. They were adults now. They could get their own. Then there was Charlotte's car, the one I'd co-signed the loan for. I contacted the bank and explained I was revoking my co-signature. It took some doing, but it was possible. They'd have to refinance on their own or have Wesley co-sign. I'd set up small emergency savings accounts for each of them years ago. Put a little in each month, just for a rainy day. I closed those accounts and moved the money back into my own savings. After that, I sent them both the same text message. Polite, clear. It said, "I have received your decision regarding your family and future. As you no longer consider me your father, I will no longer be providing for your adult lives. I wish you well." I blocked their numbers for a while after that. I needed space. I didn't hear anything directly from them. I suppose they were busy building their new lives with Wesley and Abigail. A few months passed, and I unblocked their numbers. During that time, the silence from their end was total. I just went to work, came home, tried to get used to the quiet. It wasn't easy. Every corner of the house held a memory, but I kept putting one foot in front of the other. Then, slowly, things started to change. Not for me, but for them. From what I gathered, indirectly at first, turns out Wesley wasn't as solid as he looked. His main business took a big hit. Some deal fell through. I heard the fancy connections he boasted about. The ones supposed to launch Isabella's career after her internship, they didn't pan out. Her internship ended, and there was no full-time job offer. Charlotte's agency, the one Wesley connected her with, lost its biggest client. Her hours were cut, then cut again. Abigail and Wesley, it seems, started pulling back the emotional support, and more importantly for the girls, the financial support began to dry up. Suddenly, their different kind of future wasn't looking so bright. Then the calls and messages started, about 6 months after my text. Just little things at first. Charlotte sent a text. "Hey Dad, just checking in. Hope you're doing okay." No mention of anything, no apology, just a feeler. A week later, Isabella left a voicemail. "Hi Dad, it's me. Was just thinking about you. Give me a call sometime if you want." I didn't reply to either of them. What was there to say? That's where I am now. Asking to talk. After everything they said, everything they did. After choosing Wesley and Abigail. After telling me I wasn't their father and that Wesley fit better. Now that Wesley's, well, is running dry, they're back. You might wonder why the girls were so quick to believe her, or go along with the whole plan. Honestly, it's complicated. But Abigail has a way of making people believe her, especially when she's emotional. When she's in a full-blown meltdown, she can be incredibly convincing, twisting facts, playing the victim, making grand accusations. She's always been very entitled. If she wants something, she believes she deserves it, no matter the cost to others. I think Wesley, with his money and apparent success, was like a shiny new toy for her. And the girls? They were part of making that new life perfect. She probably painted me as the boring, stagnant past and Wesley as the exciting future. Wesley was overtly malicious? I don't think he was some cackling villain. But he was definitely an enabler for Abigail. And he saw an opportunity. The whole adoption thing? He likely spun it as being generous. A way to take care of Isabella and Charlotte. He probably didn't think beyond the surface appeal. He also probably underestimated how much I was actually doing for them. And how much it would cost him if he truly had to take over. His suggestions about the paternity, the tax benefits, it was all about making it seem logical, practical, for the girls. He helped Abigail create the narrative that they were upgrading their family. Did the girls show any remorse before things went bad with Wesley? The answer is no. Not a hint. Their calls and texts when they started again were casual, as if nothing major had happened, like they were just testing the waters. "No, I'm sorry. No, we messed up. Just a cold." "Hey Dad, that told me a lot." Reading your comments and thinking it all over, I realized a few things. Many of you said I owed them nothing. Many said I should at least hear them out, if only for my own closure. To see if they understood what they'd done. I wasn't sure about the closure part. I felt like their actions were closure enough. But then, a week ago, they showed up at my house unannounced. Just rang the doorbell on a Saturday morning. Both of them. They looked tired. Isabella's eyes were red. Charlotte looked like she hadn't slept in days. Them showing up on my doorstep like that, looking worn down, like life had finally caught up to them. I made a decision in the moment. I would hear what they had to say. When Isabella asked, "Dad, can we talk?" I didn't answer right away. I just looked at them. Isabella dropped her gaze to the ground. Charlotte was chewing her bottom lip like she used to when she was a kid and nervous before a dentist appointment. After a few seconds, I said, "All right, come in. You have 10 minutes. That clearly surprised them. Maybe they expected me to slam the door. Maybe they braced for shouting or tears. But I just turned and walked back into the house. They followed me into the living room, the same room where they once told me that Wesley fit better. I didn't offer them a seat. I stood. They stood awkwardly in the middle of the room. Like kids about to be scolded by the principal. Isabella started. "Dad, we messed up. Really badly." Charlotte nodded, her eyes already glistening. "We were so stupid," she whispered. Isabella kept going. "Mom, she was so convincing. And Wesley, he made everything sound so good. Like this amazing new life was waiting for us." She looked up at me then, searching for something in my face. "I think I wanted to believe it, Dad. I wanted to believe that things could be easy, exciting. A fresh start. So that's what it was about. A fresh start. From their actual life. From me. Good to know." Charlotte's voice cracked as she spoke next. "I just wanted to feel like I was part of something successful. Wesley seemed so successful. Mom was so happy. I thought," her voice wavered, "I thought maybe this was my chance to have that." Tears began to slip down her face. She didn't sob. No theatrics. Just tears. We didn't understand what we were throwing away. Not really, she said. They talked more after that. Not much of it new. Excuses, mostly. How Abigail had pressured them. How Wesley made promises. How they'd felt overwhelmed, swept up in it all. And how, now, things with Abigail and Wesley were terrible. Abigail was apparently making their lives hell. Blaming them for not being grateful enough now that Wesley's money was drying up. Wesley himself was pulling away, indifferent to their problems, disinterested in the emotional fallout. The shiny future, it seemed, had tarnished very quickly. I didn't say anything. I didn't interrupt. I didn't offer Charlotte a tissue or put a hand on Isabella's shoulder. I just listened. My face, I imagine, gave away nothing. When they finally wound down, they looked at me. Hopeful, scared, waiting for something. Maybe forgiveness, maybe a crack in my armor. I took a slow breath. And then I spoke, calm and even. So let me see if I understand. Your mother, a person who abandoned you and broke her promises your entire childhood, told you I wasn't your father. Her new husband, a man you barely knew, offered to adopt you to save on his taxes and make his new family look complete. And you both, my educated adult daughters, decided this was a good plan. They both flinched, like my words had physically struck them. Good. I wasn't trying to be cruel, but I wasn't here to coddle either. I continued, keeping my voice even. You say you wanted a fresh start, Isabella? A fresh start from what? From the father who worked 70 hours a week to give you everything? She didn't answer. She just stood there, eyes red, mouth trembling. I turned to Charlotte. You wanted to be part of something successful. Was my life, my sacrifices for you, not a success in your eyes? Charlotte's shoulders shook as she started to cry more openly. No, Dad, it's not. It's not that. You didn't mean, I cut her off. Calm still, but sharp. What did you mean when you looked at legal proof of your paternity and dismissed it? What did you mean, Isabella, when you told me Wesley fits better with your lives now? You were very clear then, Dad. Please, Isabella pleaded. We know we were wrong. We are so sorry. Sorry isn't a magic word, I said. It doesn't undo choices. Your choice. You chose them. You chose their story. You chose their practical reasons over decades of your actual life with me. They were both crying now. I paused, let the weight of the moment settle like dust in the silence. You stood in this very room, I said, gesturing around us, and in no uncertain terms disowned me as your father. Neither of them spoke. They couldn't. You came here today because your new, better life fell apart, I stated. Because Wesley's money is gone and your mother is being herself again. You didn't come when you still thought Wesley was your ticket to Easy Street. You came because your safety net with them broke, and now you're hoping your old safety net, me, is still here. I looked at them. Really looked. Isabella's face was pale and blotchy. Charlotte's mascara was running. Their tears didn't move me. Well, I said, here's my decision. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. You are correct. You threw something away. You threw away our relationship. You threw away my trust. You threw away any obligation I had to you as a father, because you willingly chose to believe I wasn't. I took a step forward. When you walked out of this house after that conversation, you became, for all intents and purposes, Abigail's daughters. Wesley's stepdaughters. Not mine. Silence. Nothing but their quiet crying. So your 10 minutes are up. There is nothing for you here. Not my time. Not my money. Not my help. Nothing. I pointed to the door. Go back to Abigail and Wesley. You chose them. Live with that choice. Don't contact me again. We are done. Isabella looked at me like I'd slapped her. Dad, you can't mean that. We're your daughters. No, Isabella, I said. You made it very clear. You are not. I have the documents to prove you're biologically mine. But you yourselves rejected that. You rejected me. So, no. You are not my daughters. Not in any way that matters anymore. Charlotte stood there shaking, tears streaming down her face, unable to form a word. Isabella opened her mouth, then closed it again. She must have seen something in my face, something final, because she didn't argue. She grabbed Charlotte's arm, gently, and led her toward the door. I didn't stop them. I didn't say another word. I watched as they walked down the path to Charlotte's car, the one I used to help pay for, and drive away. I closed the door behind them. I didn't feel sadness. I didn't feel anger anymore either. What I felt was quiet, like a storm had finally passed, and the air was clear, still, clean. There was a harshness to what I'd said, I know that. But it was the truth as I saw it. They burned the bridge long before they came crawling back. I just confirmed it was gone. Nothing left to salvage. I don't know what they'll do now, and frankly, it's not my concern anymore. A year later, life has been different since that last confrontation. I haven't heard a single word from Isabella or Charlotte. Not a call, not a text, not even a forwarded email. They took my words to heart, it seems, or maybe Abigail and Wesley have them on a tighter leash now. Or maybe they found some new angle. Some other solution to their unraveling lives. I don't know. I haven't asked. Haven't looked. Some people might think that's cold. But I spent over 2 decades putting them first. Every decision I made, from the overtime shifts I picked up to skipping vacations, postponing buying things for myself, even the nights I dragged my tired body home just to help with homework or fix some last-minute school project, every single one of those choices was for them. And when they had the chance to show me loyalty, to stand by the man who raised them, they didn't hesitate. They believed the worst. They chased a fantasy. And they discarded me like I was some outdated piece of furniture that didn't match their new aesthetic. The well of fatherly feeling I had for them, it ran dry the day they showed me those paternity papers and looked at me like I was a stranger. What I said to them in our last meeting, that wasn't anger talking. That was me giving voice to something they'd already done. They walked away long before I told them to leave. These days, my life is simple. I get up, go to work at the plant. I still wear my old jeans, still live in my small house with the creaky floorboards and the porch I never got around to repainting. It's quiet here. Peaceful. No more drama. No more unexpected calls asking for tuition money or help with a down payment. No more emergency fund top-ups. No more wondering if they're okay, only to be met with silence or demands. That cycle's over. As for Abigail and Wesley, I don't know what's happened there. I don't ask, and no one tells me. They live in another city now. Our lives don't intersect. I imagine Abigail's still Abigail. People like her don't change. And Wesley? Well, he learned the hard way that bailing out Abigail and trying to buy himself a ready-made family isn't as easy as he thought. So that's it. That's the end of the story, I suppose. No big dramatic finish. No unexpected redemption arc. They're gone from my life, and I'm moving on with mine. I'm doing well, and thank you. To everyone who listened, who offered thoughts and kind words. It helped, it really did.